Yo, that was great. Thank you, Wes. Thank you for joining us. So cool. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Triumph Life Center's virtual spiritual gathering. It's Sunday. It's July 4th. Woohoo! We made it to July. It's cool. Here on the East Coast, it's 12 noon, but we welcome everyone watching, streaming internationally and across the country. What's up? Thank you for joining us today. We're really happy to have you. Our theme today is simply independence, which is, a little nod to the holiday that is celebrated today, the 4th of July in the United States, Independence Day. And we'll start with our quote. The only real prison is fear, and the only real freedom is freedom from fear. I really, really love that quote. It reminds me of the only thing to fear is fear itself. And if we can, become almost like allies, accomplices with our fear, then we can begin to move forward. Thank you for sharing that quote, Sandra. So overall, our theme, our outline, So we had music by Wesley. Thank you. That was great. We'll go through our usual opening, some meditation. We'll share some music and some sacred readings. And some of our team members and I will be sharing a little bit of everything, a nice variety on the theme of independence overall. And then you're welcome to unmute, speak up, utilize the chat box or comment if you're watching online, and engage with us. We love to hear from our community members. So our scripture reading for today. Freedom is what we have awakened to. The Christ in you is your liberty. Stand then as free people and do not allow yourselves to become sleepwalkers again. That's from Galatians 5:1, the New Bible for our time. Freedom is what we have awakened to. I'm also sensing this idea of, the theme that we have is independence, but along with independence comes freedom. And perhaps we can discuss a little bit deeper the differences and similarities between those words. All right. So as we welcome more people to our group, I invite you to just take a nice deep breath. In through the nose and hold, and out through your mouth. And notice how that recharges you, hopefully, how that gives you a moment to ground yourself and be with your body once more, with your soul, with your light, with your energy, to acknowledge it. And as we go through, I invite you to do a nice body scan from head to toe and just acknowledge and say hello to each part of your body as you go down. Notice any tension, any pain, any restlessness, any excitement even. How does that feel somatically? I'll strike the bowl a few times and I invite you to breathe along with it. And I'll read something. I invite you to continue your breathing, continue your body scan as I read. Breathe. Feel the air enter your lungs. Breathe. Feel millions of oxygen atoms permeating your lung membranes, entering your bloodstream, being delivered to every cell in your body, fueling the fire of life within you. Mother is feeding you. She feeds you and sustains your life with every breath. Let your consciousness move down to your feet and keep going down through the floor to the ground. Penetrate the ground with your consciousness as though you were growing roots into the earth. Deeper and deeper. Sense her massiveness, her ever abidingness. Feel her hold you. Gravity is her embrace. Feel her love and allow her love to flow into you, up through the soles of your feet, through your legs and torso to your heart, your shoulders, your head. Bathe in her love and breathe. I always like to bring in some reminders that it's not just our human bodies, it's also the creatures, the planet, the plants, the ground, the trees, everything imaginable that is also a part of us. And we can't fully acknowledge our freedom until we see the freedom of all beings, including non-human beings. I encourage you to think about that as the day goes on, as this holiday weekend continues. We are not the only beings fighting for our freedom and our independence. Let's take a few more breaths. And on this last one, you just let out a nice big sigh. It feels nice. Thank you for joining me. And as always, that time together is intentional to ground ourselves independently and to ground ourselves as community, as virtual community. So hi again, hello. Let's move on. Welcome everyone to our Sunday gathering. I see our team members are here. I also see one of our board members, Reverend John Gilmore. Welcome. It's nice to have you today. Cool. Today's July 4th, Independence Day in the United States. So it's fitting that today our theme is liberation, independence, freedom. We have a lot of information to share with you on what's happening in the United States. Our segment on pop culture with Travis, what's happening in Nigeria, and we'll continue the discussion of our new doctrinal statement. So it's our aspiration to ignite a spark of joy in our community, inspire you to live your best life. I also want to say, I'm just really grateful to be here with you all. I'm so excited and I love you. So again, feel free to unmute and speak at any time. Utilize the chat box. We'll be sharing a lot of resources that we'll share later on our social media pages. As always, the Christ in me celebrates the Christ in you, and together we'll make our world brand new. Welcome to Triumph. I will read our affirming principles today. Basis of union. First, we affirm that life is in the breath and breath is life. Therefore, we join together to promote our shared humanity and inseparable breath. Second, we affirm that we are born whole, complete, as perfect manifestations of the universal mind, or Christ. Third, we affirm our physical bodies differ and as such may present different challenges, limitations, or privileges that everyone may not share in. Therefore, we join together to share our strengths and support one another where there may be weaknesses so that we may all enjoy the fullness of life. Fourth, we affirm that our agreement is to pursue peace, walk in truth, uphold justice tempered with mercy. Fifth, we affirm that we are like branches on a tree. Although we may grow in different directions, we share a common root, and as such, we pledge to respect each person's path, even as it may differ from one's own. We agree to walk in agreement that it's all right to disagree, and we protect and safeguard this right in so much as the state of disagreement upholds an affirmation of life. 6, we affirm that community building is the process of communal shared principles, shared resources, and equitable access to those resources. Therefore, we commit to being agents of an open culture that welcomes everyone to participate in the life of the community, with the provision that we also hold each other accountable for acts that do not support the life-affirming principles of our awareness, while equally looking for and enacting a commitment to forgive and restore in the spirit of humility and love. And finally, we affirm that the earth and all that dwell therein are manifestations held within the universal mind, and humanity's role is to be faithful stewards of this earth by demonstrating respect and dignity for all beings, the sacredness of Mother Earth, and our commitment to caring for her as we care for ourselves. Oof, that was beautiful. So we're gonna share a song next. We had shared this in the past. It's a wonderful father and son duo singing together. It's stunningly beautiful. We don't own the rights to this music, but we will share the YouTube link. It's called No Longer Slaves. So give me 1 second.
With a melody, me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone.
From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called my name. I've been born again into a family. Your blood flows through my veins.
I'm no longer a slave to fear, 'cause I am a child of God.
I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. You unravel us with your melody. You surrounded us with songs. We've been born again into your kingdom. Your blood flows through our veins.
We no longer slaves to fear. We are the sons of God. We no longer slaves to fear. We are the sons of God. I am surrounded by the hands of the Father. I am surrounded by sons of deliverance.
Okay, in respect for time, I'm going to continue on. But this song is so awesome. So we will share it later on so you could watch the rest of it. It's called No Longer Slaves. And these two, father and son, are Annie Francis and Kanan Francis. I apologize if I say it incorrectly. But really beautiful. Ooh! Thank you for finding this, Sandra, and sharing it with us. Okay. So let's do our opening prayer. Unity of all, Hanto Yo. Hanto Yo means clear the way in the Lakota. Let's take a nice deep breath. Let us pray. God of surprises, you call us from the narrowness of our traditions to new ways of being church, from the captivities of our culture to creative witness for justice, from the smallness of our horizons to the bigness of your vision. Clear the way in us, your people, that we might call others to freedom and renewed faith. Clear the way in us, your people, that we might call others to wholeness and integrity. Great Spirit, you call us from fear to faithfulness, from clutter to clarity, from a desire to control to deeper trust, from the refusal to love to a readiness to risk. Clear the way in us, your people, that we might all know the beauty and power and danger of the gospel. Ashe. I love that. I love that prayer. So some info about Triumph Life Center. We're based in Canarsie. Canarsie, Brooklyn. We opened on October 19th, 2019, under the umbrella of Triumph, the Church of the New Age International, founded in 1904. We seek to further the work of founder Bishop Elias Dempsey Smith, who had a vision of a New World system that he fully believed was attainable through the shared practice of spiritual principles that would lead to our collective awakening or higher expression of the divine. Our vision is of an interdependent community formed from the tapestry of individual and collective experiences of the divine that foster both an embodied spirituality and epistemology as pathways to establishing a new world where all may share in the fullness of life. Our mission is to promote the creation of new cultural practices and social and economic systems that are egalitarian, affirms our shared humanity, and holds sacred the earth and all life forms. To create a safe and sacred space where marginalized individuals and communities who may not have equal access to opportunities can connect up and expand their spiritual and intellectual life and gain access to opportunities for personal growth through shared resources and support for developing spiritual gifts and intellectual pursuits. To honor the Sabbath as a time for individual and collective spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental well-being through shared music, spoken word, sacred readings, and when in person together, a communal meal. Our goal is to be a hub for conversations envisioning a new world order, creative arts expressions, emerging social entrepreneurships, promoting community-owned sustainable food systems for access to healthy living, expanding reverence and care for the earth and all life forms, forming alliances and building bridges across community barriers that mutually affirm our shared humanity, and people of all faiths, cultures, ethnicities, races, genders, orientations, abilities, personal challenges, etc., to be in community with each other on one accord. And as I was reading that, I was really thinking a lot about the work that we've been doing to prepare for our annual conference that is this August. Our members and people that are non-members who just want to join us, you're totally welcome to. It's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll share some more information about that. I'll say the dates, Friday, August 6th through Sunday, August 8th. You need to register for Friday and Saturday, but for Sunday, it's open and you'll see us live as usual. But it will be, a little more special because it's a lot of work that we're putting in, and a lot of what I just read, we are really centering our preparation around these main points. Yeah. And it's beautiful to the process of theory to application, I really am excited. So up next, we got sacred readings, some poetry, beautiful poetry by Travis Mills, and musician Wesley Emery. Take it away.
I'm gonna go play the song called Você é Linda, which means you are beautiful.
Mirrors. Every morning I wake up singing. I love my reflection. Last night God whispered the words in my ear. You're beautiful and you always have my protection. When you wake up, what do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you love yourself? Are you giving? Or are you selfish? And mirrors will crack, but your reflection will always be the same. Words of encouragement. You're strong. You're beautiful. You're talented. I can't believe this who you really are. I will give you space so you become a star. So many losses. I will let you win the war. I made you so you can fly. I made you so you can be free. I did not give you limitations. The power of giving. To give and not want nothing in return. I paid forward because it's my turn. God set my past on fire and said, let it burn. To give is the real definition of compassion. Give because it's the right thing to do. Give because others are in need. Give because they're afraid to ask. Give because others don't have a voice. Give so others can give. Welcome home. We've been watching you for a long time. To endure so much and still have a pure heart. You can't rewind time, but we can give you a fresh start. What you've been through become beautiful art. Welcome home. This is the place of scar become testimonies. Your rebirth will be a ceremony. Welcome home. This is where you belong. Welcome to China Church.
That was so beautiful. Thank you. Okay. I really like this poem, The Power of Giving. Thank you. Thank you for those words.
And I love this song, You're Beautiful, because I think it fit in right so wonderful with the first and second poem that Travis did, and the third, all of them. So it was just unplanned, but it just worked well together.
Awesome. It was Wesley's birthday. Hey, hey. How you feel? You want to share any, I don't know, any special birthday things? I'll say we're just really happy that you're working with us, that you're on our team, that we know you, and that we can still connect with you virtually all over the country. So, did you do anything cool?
Thanks for having me always, having time to listen to my art. It's nice to be with you guys, learning with you guys. I'm just happy. Each year that goes, I get happier and happier. Thank you. You guys are part of it. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Wes. You are truly a gift and divinely connected with us. I'm just so grateful that we connected up, back in 2019. It's really been a blessing. Thank you.
Connect up. Yeah, I feel the same. So we're all on the same page here. Also, this is a beautiful picture of you. Love to see it. Okay, let's continue on, shall we? Little plug, Triumph School of Integral Studies, TSIS for short. If you are interested in taking any courses, you can find us on our website. Our team members, our board members are hosting, leading, facilitating, and sharing their knowledge and experience, whether it be music, creative arts, language, business, among others. You can find out more information on our website, Triumph, the Church of the New Age-International.org. And you'll see on the top menu a little page for TSIS. Another announcement is that, like I was mentioning earlier, from August 6th through 8th, we're having a virtual International Religious Congress and our first annual community gathering. So they are one and the same event. And the theme of this event is the way, the truth, and the evolution of the I. So really a big change for our organization. And it's exciting to work with the board members and community members and learn what they have to share and all of their experience with Triumph so far, and really how we can cultivate and create something beautiful together. So if you're interested in more information, you can look at our website. You can email us at triumphlifecenter@gmail.com. We have a registration form for Friday and Saturday. And also Sunday will just be open and beautiful and love. So please join us.
Just a little plug. Sunday we will culminate the service, the conference with our Sunday, which is a special ordination service. We have 2 candidates for ordination and 1 for ministerial license. And we're going to be transitioning from the old to the new officially. So it's going to be a big celebration.
Celebrate good times. Come on. So this is like our virtual one, right? This is our second virtual annual meeting. So let's see how it goes. All right. So we're going to get into today. It's 12:28. We have about 35, 40 minutes to get into it all. So we're going to share a little bit of everything. I have like some current news and some interesting vibes to share with you. We have our pop culture summary from Travis. We have some words from Obinna, who is our friend in Nigeria. And if James joins the call, we'll have a little bit more discussion about our doctrinal statement.
James is here.
Oh, I didn't notice. Hi. Okay, now I see you. Cool. I'm gonna ask Travis if he would go first. I've been talking a lot, so you're welcome to share your beautiful voice first.
Today's movie will be Soul Food. The movie is about a group of relatives came from a dysfunctional family, have problems, tribulations. Also, only reason they came back together because the main character, I believe his name was Terrell. He believed he told everybody lies saying that the grandmother left him some amount of money for everybody, and that's the only reason they came back to the family. If money is the reason to come back to a family, that means the family is not a real family. The song called For the Soul. I know the devil got a hold of you. I know the devil got a hold of you. I know the devil got a hold of you. I know it's true. What happened to the family that eat at the table? Why are these babies being born disabled? This is food for the soul. This is for the soul. This is food for the soul. I hope you don't use the soul food. I want to eat at the table with my family again. I want to eat at the table with my family again. It's God's favorite snitch. Ain't snitching time. God said ugly. Every word you say must rhyme, or go back to prison you go. And I love myself too much to go to jail. What happens to the family that eat at the table? What happens to the family that help each other solve each other's problems? The devil destroyed that, and that's the problem. What happened to granddaddy and grandmommy sitting at the table? I don't understand. I don't understand. The devil made me ill nowhere. Words so beautiful. God made me an illustrator. This is a true story of a woman who became a demon, mother of all monsters. She tried to use her baby to keep a man. Broken like a light bulb, it didn't work. She played the game, pinned the baby on the donkey. She only cared about herself. That's the problem. She made him believe that he was the father. She had a guilty conscience. She loved nicotine so much, she gave the baby asthma. She had no respect for him. She had another baby. This time she loved liquor so much, she gave the baby a heart condition. She got paranoid. Someone will find that baby wasn't his. She never let the grandparents see the baby because Steve didn't have a clue. But he had a gut feeling, so he took a test. He was a good man, but he loved himself too much, so he kicked him out the house. She couldn't tell the baby the truth. She only cared about herself. She only cared the baby how she viewed her. She told so many lies to the children, it crippled them. She went to a shelter for single mothers. They found an apartment right in the projects, right into liquor stores and addiction. When the children got older, they found out the truth. They didn't want to have nothing to do with her. They were the devil plan. I repeat, the devil cannot be forgiven. I know the devil got a hold of you. I know the devil got a hold of you. I know the devil got a hold of you. I know it's true. What happened to the family that eat at the table? Why are the baby being born disabled? This is soul food music. This is for the soul. This is for the soul. I hope you don't lose the soul food. I want to eat at the table with my family again. I repeat, I sold my soul for love. I sold my soul for love. Devil took the love out the house. God doesn't want a reason to be deaf to be a reason for the family to come together. For a family to come together. God plans to grow in love. This is food for the heart chakra. This food, you don't need a doctor. This is that soul food music. This is that soul food music. The soul food music.
Wow, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments?
Yeah, I like, Travis, thank you. I like that you said this is for the heart chakra, the soul food. I like that. And I like that repetitive line. I want to sit at the table with my family again. I don't know how many families still do that. Is that a lost form of family gatherings except for holidays? But yeah, that brought back a lot of memories. Growing up, dinner was always at the table with the whole family, not just on holidays. But that's what dinner was, whether we had a full course meal or our meal, which it often was, beans and rice and a piece of hoe cake bread. We all sat down at the table together. So thank you for that.
All right. All right, all right, all right. So going back to our general outline, I guess I'll share. I'm ready to go. One thing that I had wanted to share with you all, I guess, was the weekend that I was not here. I was working in a community arts center. It's called Arlington Center for the Arts. And I was asked to facilitate, to teach a visual arts workshop that was a 3-day intensive. So it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it was a group of students. So Arlington's part of Boston. It's right on the outskirts. Students that were 12 to maybe 15. So 7th grade to maybe 10th, 11th grade. And we just really talked about a lot. It was called Teens on the Issues. So I wanted to share some of the artwork that came up. Give me one second. I shared this on social media, so I wanted to show it to you too. We talked about all different sorts of causes, and a lot of what came up in discussion was like culture, freedom, independence, actually, especially at that age when you're really figuring things out. It was a group of 8 students that I was particularly working with, and we came together with another group of 8 and had like a gallery. So we really did some very short, small projects that led up to a larger independent thing. I'll put it that way. This is something that one student made, and this was a commentary about the vaccine or inequity for access to vaccines. So this is like a close-up. She had put the United States with the dollar bill, and it says thousands of COVID-19 vaccines wind up in the garbage. And then showing the whole world and how the United States is kind of just like whoosh. And I thought that was so, like, it's just pretty brilliant for this young girl to create something like this. A lot of what our conversations were based on was like how COVID is layered within all the other forms of oppression. It's just another filter added on. And it's like, because, we spent hours together, wearing our masks and being safe in that way, but it's difficult, right? So it's affecting everything, even our conversation that we had there together. This student created a little piece about justice, and it's like very beautiful. Like these students are the technique, I was just like, whoa. This is a self-portrait, and it's like very, I don't know if abstract is the right word, but it's not the typical like eyes, nose, face, right? It's his profile, and he was describing how he appears to be, at first cold and unfeeling, but really it's the bright colors that are cracking through all of my blandness. And I could see throughout the weekend how he was very withheld, but then towards the end he was like the light that we all have within us. And it was so beautiful to see this student be able to express that visually. Another student created stickers that was based on pride and LGBTQ plus community. So these were things that were interactive with the audience too. He put on a platter these buttons and stickers that people could take, so that people could bring something back with them and remember what they discussed and what they saw. And I thought that was wonderful. The mask, we're all wearing masks. So this student was inspired to create a collage with it, and the different colored eyes, dying art. And this was so beautiful. This really spoke to me as well. Grow, learn, nurture, teach, a collage in watercolor. This is about it says, I want this piece to reflect on how masculinity and femininity are described as 2 separate forms of self-expression, rather than kind of how they complement, and we each have the masculine and feminine energy within us. It's so beautiful. So things like that. I think I'll leave it at that, but there's more that I can share and show you all. But that was a great experience for me, and I missed you all, but I'm happy that I got to really engage with them and learn. It was a reciprocal experience that I shared as much as I could and led them through activities, but they also taught me too. And I really, really loved that. So, okay. I think another thing that I'd like to mention, so moving on, that was one thing that I wanted to share. Another is
I think I saw a comment, Brenda, just before you go on, from
Okay.
Reverend John. I think he said he was very familiar with, he knows the place where you were at. I didn't know he had
Really?
worked or lived in Boston. Yeah. Mhm.
Cool. I never been to Arlington before that, really, and it was nice to walk around. It's like the center is right on a very main street, so there's the Minuteman bike path, which is like pretty huge. So there was it's a big commuter bike path that goes through the city, and that was awesome to see as well. That's cool. Nice. Okay. I think also it's 12:40. I'm actually gonna see. I'll let someone else speak if that's cool, because I don't want to take up all the time.
Yeah, I don't know if Reverend John was trying to say something. I saw he unmuted. I didn't know if he
Okay,
was
go
trying to
ahead.
speak.
I'm sorry, I can't see everyone. We can't hear you. I see your mouth moving, but we can't hear you for some reason. Maybe if you have headphones plugged in.
Now can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi, how are you? Yes, I knew somebody. My wife used to actually take the yoga courses from a guy who taught this advanced therapeutic yoga there at the Arlington Center. I used to work in Boston, so I knew a lot about the Arlington Center. It's a beautiful place, and they have a lot of things going on. So I'm glad you had a chance to go and teach there. And it's like you said, it is a sort of on a main street. So that's what, for 5 years I lived in Lowell. I worked in Boston for about 2 or 3 years. So I used to run around there all the time.
Nice. Okay. Well, if it means anything, I'm in Dorchester. So, you know, that's kind of a commute to Arlington.
Yeah.
But okay. We digress. I'm thinking, is anyone else ready to speak? Would they like to come in? I know we would love to hear from Obinna. If you have anything to share today, you could go ahead and do that. If you're ready, if you're comfortable.
You want me to share the prayer or any other thing?
Whatever you would like. Or you could just say hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. Okay, let us pray. Triumphant God, as we gather in harmony and unity to expand and share intellectual and spiritual principles that will lead to and promote the creation of new cultural values, practices, social and economic system, which will give peace to the world and greater opportunities for the marginalized, oppressed, and less privileged. Strengthen and support us so that we will all enjoy life to its fullness. Clear the way in us, your people, that we, the perfect manifestation of the universal consciousness of the universal mind, Christ, and as the stewards of all of the earth, to demonstrate faithfulness, dignity, and respect for all beings, the sacredness of Mother Earth and our commitment care.
It's frozen, I think. Or it's I don't hear anything anymore.
Yeah, I think he froze. Obinna, I think you froze. Yeah, he's frozen, Brenda. I don't know if we want to move on.
Okay, we'll come back to him if we can.
Yeah. Well, that's you know, we're so thankful for this technology we have. Is he coming back? I think he's coming back. No. Yeah, no, we are. I would just say let's move on. You know, technology is awesome, but we're, you know, how many miles, thousands of miles away? I can't say, but from Nigeria here, and 5 hours in time difference. So we're so grateful to be able to make the connection, and we're not going to let the little technological issues deter us. We're just thankful that we can be in this here space together.
That's okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad he could join anyway.
Yeah, he'll come back in as it opens up, but we can move on in the interest of time. Mm-hmm.
Whatcha? It is 12:45, so I'm going to say, James, you're welcome to go ahead and share your piece. It might be this, if that helps.
Sure, I'm here. Yeah, sure. So let's see. Last time we talked about the first two, which is we recognize embodiment and its evolution as the work in progress for the manifest experience of the spirit and intention. Basically, that just means your body does the work. Okay, and the body's important, which is different than the denigration of the body that typically happens in Christianity. Orthodox Christianity. We recognize the need for language to guide embodiment and its evolution for the manifest experience of the spirited intention, and reserve the right to continually clarify and update any detailed expression, written, oral, or otherwise, to better assist those processes. I feel like I just signed one of those, when you have to click to agree when to use this website. That's one of the lines that's in there. Basically, in English, this means we recognize that words are not sufficient and that they can't possibly be sufficient, and that whatever we say, we get the right to update. So let's just say today I say, I don't know, everybody should read the Bible. Let's just say that that's something we can come back and say, you know what, maybe everybody shouldn't read the Bible, right? Because we've learned something new, or so everybody should read the Quran or the Tao Te Ching or the Rig Veda, whatever, right? It's just mean that we can update what we believe and we're not going against what we said before. Kind of like science, right? If you've gone to the dentist recently, you'll notice that they're not using metal fillings anymore. I don't know what it is, but it ain't metal, right? So if you're older, you probably have metal fillings, right? We want to operate in the same way at Triumph. If we find that there's a better way to do something, a better way to say something, we're going to throw out the old one and start using the new one. And we're saying that right up front, that that's part of the tradition. So I think that's important for those people who are interested in change. If you're not interested in changing and growing, well then stick with the metal fillings and, get the metal poisoning that comes along with it, right? Okay, so today we're going to talk real brief about the next two lines of the doctrinal statement, which is one, we recognize that any boundary creates unavoidable exclusion and believe divine energies lead us to create boundaries that support the spirited intention. Just let me recap that the spirited intention, for those of you who are new, is love, unity and diversity, and justice. Those are the three kind of big concepts that are baked into the spirited intention. So what does this mean? We recognize boundaries create exclusion. It means that this is probably the only line in the entire doctrinal statement that's pointing to some kind of obedience, telling you what to do. This is where we draw the line. And it's because at the end of the day, you have to draw a line. Let's take Travis for a moment, right? Travis has boundaries. Like Travis's arms do not literally extend out into the universe, at least from the bodily perspective, right? I mean, he's connected to the universe, but there's a boundary, right? For Travis, there's a boundary for me. There's a boundary for Sandra, Nadia, John. We all have these, and these are the kinds of boundaries that we're recognizing, right? And so let's just say someone wants to join Triumph and they are a diehard Ted Bundy fan, okay, and want to do what Ted Bundy does through Triumph. Triumph is going to say, that's not really part of the spirited intention. You can't do that here, okay? And for those of you who don't know who Ted Bundy is, look him up, have a blast. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about boundaries, okay? It's not about, so one boundary that wouldn't apply would be, let's just take one that could be difficult for many people, is somebody who's transgender, right? That might be difficult for some people to handle. That's not a boundary that we're saying is related to, that is anti the spirited intention, right? So, yeah, she's saying, I think Professor Brito has said, at the core, we are a life-affirming community, right? And so that's this line generally supports it. If you could share that screen again, that'd be great. the screen share one. There we go. Thank you. So that's what we mean. And it's dynamic. I'm sure there's going to be difficulties and discussions regarding that. But we're saying up front that we recognize that there are boundaries. Notice that we're not saying what the boundaries are, right? We're just saying that there are boundaries and that we're going to have to figure out what to do. That's part of any living tradition. Any living tradition has boundaries that they argue about. The Quran will argue about the role of women, right? Christianity will argue over and over again about, Jesus Christ's divinity and how that impacts for ad nauseum. So this is one of these areas that we are recognizing in Triumph. That's a boundary that's representing a spiritual tradition, so to speak. Finally, is we believe all human beings play a part in contribution to the spirit and intention. And I will share very honestly that this is the only part of the doctrinal statement that I struggle with. And I want to share that struggle because it's an important one. Because I think we have to say something about people and what their role is. But defining that and saying what that is really hard, right? Because it gets into, so here's an example. What role does the Holocaust play in how we view the world right now? Let's just take a big one that everybody's familiar with, right? Is there a claim, do we want to claim that it's part of the spirited intention, right? This is the only place where the problem of evil kind of creeps in, because people can do bad things and we can say, oh, is that part? But that's not really what I'm saying, but it's in there. But we have to believe that people are playing a part and can play a part in the spirit of intention, that everyone can. And there's no way to say that I have found anyway, without the risk of somebody messing it up, right? So we're just going to be open and say we believe all people, all human beings, play a part in the contribution to the spirit of intention and can play a part in the spirit and intention. I mean, maybe we say can play a part instead of just play a part. That could be one way to fix that problem. But then if we say, then we're also implying that there's some people that can't play a part. And then we're explicitly excluding somebody, which is what we don't want to do. We would rather have the person exclude themselves than for us to exclude them beforehand. So those are those two statements and a little explanation on them. And I hope that was helpful. These two are actually the most difficult of all of them because they're part of an ongoing conversation that really has no end. Boundaries, we can talk about it all day. The goodness of whether a person is really doing the right thing, we can talk about that all day. But the big boundaries are this notion of life affirmingness and the spirited intention, which really help to, avoid us as a community supporting Hitler and Ted Bundy. So that would be my explanation for those two statements. And any questions, concerns, comments would be helpful, since these can be troubling because they can, seem to support things that you don't want to support, but also support the things that you do want to support. So that's my quick explanation there. I hope that wasn't too wordy. Tried to make it simple. And if somebody has simpler explanations as, hey, why didn't you just say this, right? I am completely open.
Well, I
Go,
thought of-
Brenda.
the first thing when you mentioned the Holocaust, I actually thought about a person. His name is Viktor Frankl. He's a psychologist, and
Yes.
he has this theory of logotherapy, like finding meaning in the suffering. He was a
Right.
Holocaust survivor, and he created all of this. So that really that sparked that, because I recently read it for school as well. And this idea of how, I guess it's difficult to say that, oh, this tragic thing like had a reason, like, you know, or that it was deserved somehow. But I guess it's different to really say, okay, these things happen, and they don't necessarily always have a meaning. I suppose it's just like, how do you react and respond and move through those things, and how do we as a community grow and create out of this destruction and pain and fear. So it's like this necessity of the good and the bad, the black and the white, the up and the down, you know, like, but those
Yeah.
binary things too, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough, that whole suffering thing, right? And you know, a friend of mine wrote a book, I forget the name of it, but it was basically a book about how people had terrible accidents, you know, became quadriplegics or lost their legs or lost both their arms, and then found that their lives were actually better after having lost their legs, because they realized all the things that they were missing on when they were just doing what they quote unquote wanted to do. And so, you know, what do you say to that? I mean, at the same time, we don't say, okay, you know what, Nadia, I don't think you need your legs anymore, so we're gonna cut them off so you can live a better life, right? That we think that there's a natural reaction to that that says that's not cool, right? So
If you like win the lottery and you're still the most miserable person in the world, you could have all this wealth and, you know, like financial wealth, and still be like a mess, you know, really, really unhappy. So it could go both ways. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a mess. There's no clean way to fix it, but we have to recognize it and basically say we recognize this, but we're not promoting what we know to be bad, you know. But we're not going to use the terms good and bad either, because then we're making value statements for somebody or for you or for somebody else or for the organization. The organization is not making those explicit value statements. So it's a tight rope to walk.
There's something I was thinking about. You can probably word it, because I can't even word what I was thinking about. How there are terrible things that happen in the world that we overcome and we get stronger. So it ends up making us better. But in order for a person to use the natural pain and suffering for their own ends, makes it something, it's sort of weaponizing the negativity in nature in order to use it against people. And that's sort of a split between what's good intention and what's evil intention. So that's what I've been thinking about. I don't know how to word it.
Yeah, no, I think what you said, the weaponizing of nature for some, you know, intended end, is really, I think that was a nice way of saying it. That's not what we do, right? That's not, you know, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out exactly how it all fits, you know.
James, I'm kind of like Brother Coleman here. I'm hearing things, but I'm not necessarily putting the pieces together to give you kind of a conclusion. But a word and example came to me. The word that it came to me was excluding. And as you were writing the definition, sometimes we do have to indicate the exception. So as you were reading that, and you'll see that in agreements, like you say, when you sign an agreement to get on something, you'll see an item that says excluding. And the other part that I was hearing was with boundaries and borders. As individuals, we set those or external behavior management of how we relate to each other. But internally, and as I hear you speak of the spirit and the divine, there's a song that says, "Spirit, lead me where my faith is without borders. Let me walk upon the water whenever you call me." And so as an organization, what I'm hearing you saying is the energy that moves you and synergizes you is without those limitations and boundaries, but it is led divinely. And so if you haven't listened to that song, it's by Oceans by Hillsong. The song is Oceans. I'll try and even send it to Brenda on the thread real quick.
Yeah, I know the song.
Okay, so those were the things that was kind of, and it's almost like you stepped into a complexity of realities here. And so I feel for you.
Yeah. I think what you're pulling out is really important, because there's a boundlessness that we have access to, but expression is always bounded, right? There's no unbounded expression, right? And so I think somehow calling out, at least in the explanation of this, what you're calling out is really important to make clear, is that we're really talking about expressions, and that's the word that's used there, but that internally we're really looking towards not drawing boundaries in there, right? Because if you go back to the first statement about the divine portion, we just say there is, and that's it. Like, I'm not saying anything else about the divine other than that it is, right? So I'm not putting any boundaries, no labels, no anthropic, no nothing. And so this is where you're pulling in that divine portion and saying this is how it's energizing these boundaries. That's really good. Thank you.
It's 1:02, 1:03 p.m. We'll take final words. I see Floyd.
Just 1 second. What I'm noticing here, James, and I could listen, just explain it a little bit more simpler. Imagine for a second that you're appealing to a man who's not intellectually sound, who's got an eighth grade education, and make it simple to him. Your points are good, but the way you're explaining it, it makes the average man run away from you. So how do you get the average man to hear you where you're at? Intellectualism is great, but it has limitations. It is Triumph Church. It is meant to draw men. So I could be wrong.
No, listen, I need to comment specifically to what Floyd is saying. So one, the reason why we're having this conversation is so that there's an exercise in trying to find those simple terms, because the bottom line is it's not this particular piece is the hardest piece of all, right? And that's why I use those pictures of cutting Nadia's legs off, right? We like your legs where they are, Nadia. Thank you very much. But those are the kinds of pictures that I can use to help make it simpler. But it is out of the gate extremely complicated. And I'm with you on trying to make it easier. And I think that's something that, I will be working on over time. So I'm not dismissing what you're saying at all. I think it's important for things to be communicated in ways that more and more people can understand. But like Einstein said, it's like if I can't say it any simpler, I can't say it any simpler. Like we can say, like the theory of relativity, we can have this basic explanation that kind of gets it. But at the end of the day, none of us here, if we sat down and were given the quantum mechanics, could understand what's going on, right? So that's the difficulty, and I'm 100% with you in trying to make that fix.
James, I'll give one thought to kind of connect with what Floyd is saying. Anything we think intellectually, any intelligence, for order for it to be applied and effective, must connect to the heart, which is the experience of it. And the experience of it is what draws people. People don't remember the intellectual thought you preached in the pulpit, but they will remember the emotional response that they felt or a friend felt. That's what they talk about. They don't talk about the theories. They don't talk about what created it. They talk about the experience of it. So examples is excellent. Pictures is excellent to do that, as well as case studies, as well as questions, because questions take it from my brain to yours.
If I could just quickly just thank Bandley and Pastor Floyd for their commentary. And I shared in the chat room, you know, we still are looking for two courageous people to serve with Reverend John on this doctrinal statement review committee. Let me just give a very quick framing for what we're doing here. What we're attempting to do, and what James is taking the lead on, is provide something like, for those of you who have went to seminary, are familiar with, say, the Nicene Creed, or you have been trained in the theology of the Trinity or of the Eucharist and what that means, and the different ways of understanding that, very different. Most people who show up at church have no idea what those conversations were about. They wouldn't recognize those documents. They wouldn't be able to interpret those documents. But those documents form the basis for Christendom, for the theology that was built, that we now know worldwide, whether it's Catholicism or Protestantism or all those other sects in between, as Christianity. And we think it's built on the Bible. Really, Christianity is built on the documents that people derived from the Bible. Those theologies, they sat around in rooms and had conversations about and developed these other documents that none of us can interpret unless we went to seminary or got advanced degrees, that then they trained the ministers to teach. And for the most part, the ministers come to church and they teach something else. But those things form the basis for Christianity. So what we are attempting to do here is provide that in a simplistic form, and I think that's an important point, as possible, the foundational doctrinal statement for those who are going to be licensed, trained, ordained clergy in this new triumph. That they will then have, this is our Nicene Creed, this is our doctrine of the Trinity, this is our doctrine of the Eucharist. I mean, all of those things. What I hear you, Pastor Floyd and Sister Bandley saying is then that the challenge for us meaning Triumph, is then how do we create the hermeneutics and a homiletics from these documents that teach the ministers we're training how to interpret this to the congregants? Because you take that from the trained professional clergy, and then how do you teach them to break it down in everyday language so that they understand it and it's applicable, it's practical. And so that's a part of the process. That's the backstory of what we're doing. But we have to get this piece first, then we can develop the backstory. And I just really appreciate all of you for jumping in this conversation and encourage you to, if you're interested in serving on this committee with Reverend John, all your thoughts, suggestions, ideas are welcome. As we're leading up to our annual meeting, we're going to be really going through this and trying to solidify this and say, okay, now this is the document that the ministers will be teaching from. Now, how do we develop the curriculum that helps them to understand how to teach this? And we already have a 40-page annotated bibliography that we're trying to, again, handle. So it's a process. This is a historic moment in Triumph, historic moment, and all of you are a part of it. And we appreciate you for doing this.
That's pretty cool. Are there any other final words before we close for today? I wish we could talk forever. There's a lot to say, but anything else? Anything else? Okay. So I invite you all to just take a nice deep breath. And you can wiggle it out a little bit if you have to. That was a cool discussion. I really appreciate engaging with you all and hearing what you have to say. We are family, an interesting family. So I'll ask Travis to please read.
Invitation to join Triumph. Here's how you can become part of our Triumph family. You can become a member of Triumph and start a Triumph charter group in your community. Email us and request more information. We are forming groups virtually through the country, and you can become a spiritual leader and healer in this movement. You were one part of Triumph, you are still family, and we would love to welcome you back home. Email and let us know you'd like to reconnect with your Triumph friend, and we will show you how. Your church or faith community can also become part of Triumph, a family, as a friend of Triumph, and share in the life of the community. Email for more information at triumphlifecenter@gmail.com. You can also support our ongoing mission of healing, educating, inspiring, creating new ways of being in the community through your financial donation, which are tax deductible, at Cash App $Triumph 2020, or mail to Triumph the Church in the New Age, P.O. Box 2157, Newark, New Jersey.
Zero 7114. Thank you, Trav. Some announcements. We have our resource guide, which is updated weekly. We share literature and other media that we share during the call and also on our social media. Again, our annual meeting, our annual conference, the 3-day weekend, August 6th, 7th, and 8th. You can find more information on our website or just by emailing us. Come through. Our website is Triumph, the Church of the New Age-international.org. We also just completed our newsletter. So if you haven't gotten an email copy of it, or if you'd like a physical copy, let us know. It's pretty cool. We have some interesting info as usual on there, a nice variety of creative arts and resources and writings from our team and board members. Find us on social media, YouTube, all the recorded Zoom calls that we've had, different themes, different guests, Facebook, Instagram, we're around town, you know. You can email us again if you need anything, if you have any ideas, honestly, if you have any suggestions or feedback for us, please let us know. triumphlifecenter@gmail.com. And I'll share our words to live by for this week. You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. It reminds me of a Mumford & Sons lyric. They say, love, it will not betray you, dismay, or enslave you. It will set you free. It will set you free. So go ahead, Wesley, you could close us out, please. Maybe I will. I will learn it. Thank you, Wes, for the inspiration, and thank you for your beautiful presence. I'm going to read our closing prayer and we'll say goodbye. Whew. Let us pray. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end war, for we know that you have made the world in a way that people must find their own path to peace within themselves and with their neighbors. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end starvation, for you have already given us the resources with which to feed the entire world, if we would only use them wisely. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to root out prejudice, for you have already given us eyes with which to see the good in all people, if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end despair, for you have already given us the power to clear away slums and to give hope, if we would only use our power justly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end disease, for you have already given us great minds with which to search out cures and healing, if we would only use them constructively. Therefore, we pray to you instead, O God, for strength, determination, and willpower, to do instead of just pray, and to become instead of merely to wish. Ashe. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Thank you for your beautiful words and presence and time. And we'll see you around town.